Okay, so hi again, everybody. This is Katie Linden, and my intention tonight is to share with you the basics of clean eating, like what does that mean and how can you go about it, which is different than doing a formal detox or some structured program. They're just kind of basic tenets to eat clean. I'm going to share some healthier alternatives to some of the most common addictions to, like, for example, sugar, gluten, coffee. So I'll give you a few hacks there and some alternatives that you can try. I'm going to give you a little thinking around, do I need a structured program or can I just kind of try to incorporate some healthy habits on my own and how to evaluate that? I'm going to do a giveaway of one of my favorite nutritional tools. And I'm going to share a little bit about Arbonne because it is one of the companies that I've come to trust and love and use, and tell you a little bit about that. Not all of you with us tonight know a lot about it, and some do, but I'll give a very brief discussion about what the difference is. And hopefully give you some other tips along the way. I'd love for this to be interactive, so you can use the chat. And just let me check my screen over here too. Get this one going. I'm also live on Facebook at the same time. So hold on, just want to make sure I see the chat there too. So, okay, if you have specific questions, don't be shy. Definitely put them in the chat or the comments so I can make sure I address them. So my background, for those of you who don't know me, I am a holistic health coach. And what that means for me is I have a background in exercise physiology and nutrition, and I'm also a licensed clinical social worker or a psychotherapist. And around 11 years ago, I left traditional psychotherapy. I was working in the hospital-based psychiatric system, and I really wanted to empower my clients to use more modalities to get well, specifically nutrition. Science has really established that we have a gut-brain connection, that we are actually more bacterial cells than we are human cells. And the bacteria manufactured in our guts creates a language with our brain. Actually, 95% of the neurotransmitter serotonin, which makes us feel good, is actually created in our gut. About 80 to 85% of our immune system is actually generated from the bacteria in our gut, right? So if we want to feel better mentally, if we want to feel better physically, it all starts in the gut. And then it goes to skin. You know, skin is our largest organ, and it's a window to what's going on inside. And often if our skin is dry or has issues of any kind, it's an inside out approach to make it better. So with that is really why I changed my practice. And I wanted to empower people to have less depression and anxiety, but be able to use nutrition as a main modality to do it. And that got me on this journey here. So nutrition has changed quite a lot over the last 10 years. And clean eating is a buzzword you hear a lot, just like detox, and just like, oh, you know, the words diet or plan or whatever you want to call it. But to really have a healthy lifestyle, you just want to start to create habits that are lasting habits, because after it's a habit, it doesn't take any effort. And then you can add a new habit and a new habit, right? That's one way of looking at how to have a healthier lifestyle and a healthier diet. The other, some people are the all or nothing. Like, I want to dive in 2 feet. I'm going to do it all. I have discipline. I have willpower. I'm going to give up everything and I'm going to do this thing. And I can do that. And that's wonderful. But if you don't come out of that with a real habit that has changed, what's going to happen? You're going to go right back to where you were, right? So if this is common for anybody, you can definitely put in the chat if you have a question around it. But eating clean, here's what it means. It's about the quality of the nutrients you're sourcing, not quantity, when that's like counting calories, and that's actually kind of antiquated and not really the way to look at food. But really, it's quality. So what does that mean? For example, you hear red meat. Don't eat a lot of red meat. Don't eat a lot of red meat. And I would agree to some degree. I'm in agreement with that. However, it depends on what meat you're eating. So if you're eating factory farm meat, which means you're just buying it from the grocery store or wherever, right, and just off the shelf, that's factory farm meat. The way those animals are treated, they're fed a lot of corn and soy, which they can't digest, which creates a lot of GI distress for them, which then the farmers need to give them antibiotics and steroids so they can live and function, right? So that isn't a healthy animal. And we are what we eat eats, right? So if I'm going to choose to eat animal, I want to choose a healthy, happy animal that lived a really nice life. So because the quality of the tissue we ingest is going to be different. So in the example of the factory farmed cow, the ratio of omegas in their fat is really off. One of the reasons we're always recommended to have omega 3s, get your omegas, have your omegas, is because we are so high in omega 9s from all the factory farm animals. They get that because they're fed so much grain. So this is an interesting fact. So if you're eating 100% grass-fed animal, a cow in this example, the ratio of omegas is balanced. The fat of that animal is actually better for us, and the tissue is better for us. And then the farming practices are better for our planet, and so forth and so on. So when you're looking, if you eat animal, then you're looking at how is that animal raised, and with beef and lamb, it's you need to be 100% grass fed. And there's lots of tricks with labeling, right? It'll say natural, it'll say grass fed and grain finished, or vegetarian fed, which these mean nothing. None of it means anything. And actually, so I want grass fed over organic. And really, what you want to do is try to buy it from a local farmer or a farmer's market. And if that's not available to you, there are great online services. There's butcherbox.com. There's Grassroots Farms Co-op. Those are a few that do the right thing in terms of animals, and you can get your beef, your lamb, your chicken, some pork too. Pork's a whole other discussion, which I'm not going to go down that thing. But generally speaking, of animal, it's the quality of the animal. With chicken, it's pasture raised. And there's a lot of trickery with the labeling on a chicken and eggs too. So one of the biggest important labels for chicken is humanely raised certified. That's going to tell you that they were raised the correct way. So sometimes you'll see organic, but they're not necessarily humanely certified. And so sometimes they'll say, oh, they're pasture raised. And the small print is they're allowed, an hour on pasture or something. Like, there's a lot going on there. So humanely raised and organic with chicken and eggs tends to really be helpful. And with fish, wild caught, not farm raised. So in terms of everything else, you're looking at organic, right? So there's pesticides and herbicides on all of our crops. And with wheat crops in particular, they spray glyphosate on it, which is Roundup weed killer. It's it's a dissectant, it's a preservative, and it's a real problem. They actually think it's not so much gluten that is the issue for so many people now with gut issues. It's more the glyphosate that's sprayed on those wheat crops that is creating the leaky gut and the issues in our gut. That's one of the theories that's more current right now. So one of the ways to avoid that is organic. So I say, I tend to avoid wheat and gluten because it just is not friendly to my body. I can have some, but I'm not celiac, so I don't have the full blown disorder. I just know from eliminating it and putting it back, it's not my friend. And I know for most people, it creates inflammation. But if you're going to eat gluten, it is really crucial it's organic. So if you're buying bread or crackers, something, or pasta, organic's really important, because if not, absolutely that wheat was treated with glyphosate. And that's a whole other thing we could talk about one night. Dr. Zach Bush is an expert on glyphosate and talks about it, has maps all over from where they most spray and all this stuff if you want to learn more. So you want to choose organic fruits and veggies too, because the pesticides and herbicides, those have heavy metals in them. They're fat soluble toxins. They get stored in our body. They can be neurotoxins as well. So, I know a lot of people will say, but organic's more expensive. And I do realize that. And it's really a choice at the end of the day. They have a dirty dozen list, which you can look up. Which is a great way to if you have to choose, definitely look at the dirty dozen look. You can Google that right now, and I bet one of my friends can even put it in the chat here for us. Also, you can just look at, does it have a thick rind like an orange or a cantaloupe? Then usually the pesticides on the outside, there's not as much in the flesh. But there will be some, but not as much, right? So, but if you're going to eat the skin, strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, cucumber, like if you're going to eat the skin and not peel it, like then those are the things you really want organic. it can make a little sense. There's also soaking. Some people say you could soak your veggies and fruits for about 30 minutes in some like iodine and water, and it can loosen some of the pesticides off. So there's things like that. But if you can, eating organic means eating clean. The other thing it means to eat clean is to look at your spices, you know, your oregano, your garlic, your salt, all of that. And make sure you throw it out after a year if you haven't used it all. And it must be organic. There are so much additives and preservatives and MSG and stuff that can go in our spices. There's actually, I have a whole post in one of my Facebook groups, and I'm sure if you're interested in learning more about spices, we can definitely share that with you. It's just one of those things. Spices can add so much to food, and there's so many flavonoids in there and antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties. Our spices are really crucial, especially for eating clean food without additives. But you really want to make sure your spice is of quality. And also eating clean is to eat less sugar and no processed sugar. Processed sugar is like Sweet and Low, Truvia and Splenda. Actually, if you want to have stevia, get the 100% stevia. It's usually in a dropper bottle. It's organic. If you want to use sugar, it's like using 100% maple syrup as a sweetener, for example, or using real organic cane sugar if you're going to go that way. So the clean, again, is just about, is it in its most pure form possible? My ingredients, you know, is it how nature made it? So that's one key to eating clean. If there's any questions on this, I'm just going to see some great, thanks guys for helping. That's awesome. So I want to I'm going to share a slide really quick, just because some of the helpful tools I have, especially for those of you with a sweet tooth, anyone with a sweet tooth, I have some great tips, and they do correlate to some Arbonne tools. So if you haven't heard of Arbonne yet, oh goodness, can you guys see? I paused again my screen. I'm hoping you all can see this. 1 second. Share. I don't know if I'm sharing. There it goes. Erin, I can see you. Is this sharing the screen? Okay, thank you. So if you haven't heard of Arbonne yet, I'll just give you the quick 411. So it's a 40-year-old vegan company, PETA approved, cruelty-free. We have great certifications like non-GMO certified, we're gluten-free certified, OU kosher certified, halal certified, low glycemic certified. Basically, they ban over 2,000 harmful and potentially harmful ingredients, and they actually screen their raw materials. Arbonne is about transparency and labeling. We have very high standards that way. We have a team of scientific advisors from Western medicine and alternative medicines, and we do a lot of testing. So this is really what I'm about, and why this company is something I recommend to my clients. We're also certified B Corporation. It means we have to action the way we care about the planet and people, not just profits. We have a lot of sustainability initiatives. We have our own recycling program, like our protein bags, and actually our little, these are digestive enzymes, and they can be sent back to Arbonne for free, and we partner with TerraCycle to recycle them. We don't use virgin plastics. We're moving more towards glass, things like that. So it's really doing good for the environment and for us. So I'm going to talk about some helpers here. I was talking about sugar in particular. And that little delicious thing on the left is a protein shake. And I use protein shakes for many, many reasons. One of them is it's an easy way to get nutrient density, and it's quick. So you know how I said we are what we eat? Yeah, we're also what we absorb. And so many of us have dysregulated guts. If you have bloating, if you have gas, if you have pain with digestion at all, if you have issues eating certain foods, then you have some dysregulation in your gut, and you're not going to be able to break down your food and get all of the nutrients out of it. It's one of the reasons supplementation is a big deal. The other is factory farming has really stripped our soils of all of its nutrients. Like there's great slides that we used to show a long time ago, and the facts are still out there, like a serving of, string beans from 19 1970 versus today, the amount of minerals and vitamins is so much less now. But with organic farming practices, regenerative farming practices, we are getting back to getting some good soil. But for now, this is one of the reasons we want to supplement. And for me, a protein shake gives you a bioavailable form of protein that is already broken down in other vitamins and other minerals. So your body can just suck it up. It doesn't have to work to break down the chains and to get it all into a place for you to digest it when most of it moves through the small intestine into large colon before it can even be absorbed. So that's why I like protein shakes for everybody. But protein is not, right? It's a processed food. It's not like pulled out of the garden. So then you have to do your due diligence. And of course, I like Armand's because of our strict ingredient policy, but this is also yellow pea, brown rice, and cranberry proteins, which makes a full amino acid profile. And they're delicious, which is amazing. Like my 3-year-old drinks them, my husband, myself, and they're just great ways. I put handfuls of spinach, get other berries. You can put healthful things like turmeric in there or chia seed or whatever you want that you might not eat enough of. One of my secret hacks for gut health is I put fermented sauerkraut in my shakes. Yes, my chocolate and my vanilla shakes. And no, it doesn't sound like it goes, but it's masked, it's hidden. You do not taste it. And even just 1 teaspoon of the liquid from a fermented sauerkraut can, if you ever have a sore throat or something, you can put a little bit on the back of your throat and swallow it. It can really help right there. It can help with your gut feeling better. So that's one of my little hacks. But a protein shake can really help with a sweet tooth. There's an inherent sweetness in this. It's only 7 grams of sugar, natural sugars, and it's low glycemic. So it's not going to spike insulin. It's not going to have that glycemic load. There's a lot of fiber in here, a lot of protein. So that's one of the biggest things I have seen in my practice with my clients. And I know for myself that if I'm having a sweet tooth, I can have a little bit of a shake even after dinner sometime. If I'm just not fully satiated, I really want to have that dessert, but I'm trying not to do extra sugar, I'll have a bit of a shake and I am good to go. The other thing are these fizzy drinks, our energy fizz. They come in pomegranate, citrus, strawberry, and they have B vitamins. So they're giving you some energy from the bees. There's some sweetness in it from stevia, real stevia, guarana in there, green tea for EGCG extract, all this good stuff and antioxidants. So it's a healthy replacement for a sweet drink. And that's also a great replacement for coffee. So I am a fan of coffee. I don't want to, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Coffee has really great properties if it's organic. However, a lot of us drink way too much of it. And there's an acidic burden with a lot of coffee. So we want our bodies inside are a little more on the acidic side, just slightly. But so we as a standard American diet, so animal proteins, dairy, grains, alcohol, coffee, stress, antibiotics, drugs, all of this makes us more acidic. And so we always want to move towards alkaline environment within our body, more alkaline, because disease can't live in an alkaline environment, right? And that's the same on the same side of the coin as that is sugar is the food of disease and cancer. That's why they do PET scans. Sugar lights up all the areas of your body that are unhealthy, right? So we want to look at what can we do? We're human. Right? We want a little fun. So these are what I've really seen help people, the shake and the fizz. And then getting off less, even if you have your cup of coffee in the morning, you love the ritual, the smell, the taste, all of that, but you're finding yourself having multiple cups during the day, that is too acidic. And actually it really dysregulates your sleep wake cycle as well. So those fizzy sticks are a super big helper. So gluten, and if you have substitutes for any things and little hacks, please put it in the chat. We'd love to know. So the other thing you can look at with gluten is, well, gluten-free grains, they're plentiful. There's quinoa, there's brown rice, starchy vegetables. Like I love a spaghetti squash instead of a pasta. They make pastas out of chickpea, out of black beans, out of, so many veggies now. So you can easily get a pasta switch for a gluten. You can get a gluten-free bread. Now, some gluten-free breads are junk food. You got to really read a label. I do like Food for Life, that brand, and they do make some decent gluten-free breads. They're usually rice breads or brown rice, like English muffin in the frozen section. So Food for Life is If you're looking to keep bread in your life and you don't want the gluten or you want to minimize it, check out their breads for sure. Dairy substitutes, some people that if you want to eat a little less cheese or milk or things like that, Kite Hill is a great brand. They make almond yogurts that taste yummy. And they make dairy substitutes. There's also one called Mykonos, I believe, that makes a dairy-free butter version and things like that if you want to experiment. And my favorite nut milk is by the brand Three Trees. There's nothing in it. It was this, if I did my almond milk at home, which, sometimes all these nut milks that are on the market now, they're filled with carrageenan, they're filled with other additives and preservatives. They can be full of sugar. So you really have to look at your labels, but that's why I give you a few brands. There's a Califia Farms too. They do an unsweetened almond milk that's pretty good. So another thing with eating clean and all of this and the sugar cravings, a lot of people that crave sugar actually don't have enough fat in their diet. Fat satiates us. Fat makes your brain happy. Fat doesn't make us fat. Sugar makes us fat. Sugar and simple carbs. Simple carbs are like your white flours, right? The white potato, that whole thing, the white pastas, the white breads, and the sugar in all the things you want to eat. So, fat, if you have enough fat, you often get satiated and then your blood sugar is more regulated and then you don't have the cravings. But here people always ask me, I have a sweet tooth. I have a sweet tooth. What should I do? How can I step down on sugar? Anyone? Here's the deal. You can't. It's like a serious drug. It lights up the same areas of the brain as cocaine addiction. So cold turkey is the way to go with sugar. And that's why I like using shakes for people. And that's why when we do our 30 Days to Healthy Living program, and we do use 1 to 2 shakes a day, it gives people a feeling of sweetness, but you're putting a ton of fat and veggies and all this other stuff in there. And you're going to be satiated, and it helps with the sugar cravings, and same with the fizzies. So that was a little note on that. Another thing about eating clean is that you want to have more veggies in your life. So that's a plant-based diet. So plant-based diet does not necessarily mean vegan. There's no formal definition of plant-based. For me, it means the food pyramid finally changed, if you don't know. That was basically should have been flipped on its head. It was pretty wrong. But now they show you a plate. And if you think of every meal, if 50% of your meal can be vegetable-based, you're doing well. And then there's a section of proteins, carbs, and fats. I like to focus on fats and veggies personally. I like to limit the carbohydrate and the grain just because they don't do so well for me, but I'm not everybody. Some people do just fine with servings of rice and quinoa and beans and whatever you want. So, and then the protein too. Protein can be found in vegetables. There's protein in avocado. There's protein in beans. There's protein in vegetables, believe it or not. So you can also get your protein from the veggie world. And sometimes having veggie-based meals only is a really great way to add health to your life. I'm big about how can you add health, even if you're not in a place where you feel like you can take some of the quote unquote bad habits away. Can you add something in? And one of my favorite ways to get people to add more veggies to their life is our greens powder. So this is 1 scoop is like a salad. It's 37 vitamins and minerals from the rainbow of fruits and veggies. We usually put it in a little glass of water in the morning, add our Digestion Plus, which is prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes. So it's your gut health that we were talking about before. It's the enzymes to help break down your food so you can get all the nutrients out of the food you're eating, and you shoot it down. That habit alone, whether you do it in the morning or any time of day, that habit alone is just increases alkalinity. It gives you a shot of vitamins and minerals your body can suck up. It's giving you that good gut bacteria, the prebiotic and the probiotic. It survives the acidity of the stomach, so it can populate into the intestines. I mean, I can't say enough about that. So much so, stay tuned because I am giving one of these away tonight. This is such a helper. And this one tastes, because there's fruits and veggies dehydrated in here, it actually has a little inherent sweetness in it because I've tried many green powders, many spirulinas over my life, and sometimes they taste like your lawn. So this one's much easier to palate. And it's definitely a great way to add more green to your life. I have some really busy days where I'm lucky to make a shake and I'm like, oh gosh, I really need a serving of like a salad or broccoli, and I just don't have the time. So I throw in another scoop of greens and chug it down, and you get a little boost of energy and clarity from it. At least I do anyway. So I think that's one of the amazing little helpers and great ways to have a cleaner diet. Another little tip with healthy living in general is a lot of times we're craving something or hungry, we're actually dehydrated. I love that tip. So, drinking more water, and you want to look at electrolytes. Like I filter my water and it has reverse osmosis, which it takes it all out, and I have to add minerals back in. But I also use this called complete hydration, and it's like a healthy Gatorade. Gatorade is fairly toxic. I don't know how to put that nicely, so I wouldn't use that. But this again has our ingredient policy with the sweeteners and all of that, and it has all of your electrolytes in here. So that's a super big helpful tool in my life because I tend to be dehydrated a lot. And also, this is I like to pair this with Pellegrino or sometimes and make myself like a mocktail with it. The fizzy sticks I only have during the day because they do have a little bit of caffeine in it from guarana. So that's a little tip. Um, Anything else you guys want to know? Is there anything here? Another tip for eating clean is, are you getting enough fiber, soluble and insoluble fiber? And if you're not, we do have a fiber, a prebiotic fiber, and you can have a scoop of it and it gives you about 12 grams a day of soluble fiber. So fiber is really key on so many things. Of course, it's going to help you with digestion and elimination, but fiber helps bind to your bile. So your bile doesn't get recycled. So it's directly related to hormone balance, to liver health, which is thereby related to pretty much everything. So even a scoop of fiber powder on an empty stomach and a glass of water, or you can add it to things you're cooking, you can add it to your shakes. That is another way to eat healthier. So how to evaluate if it's time to ask for help or if you just can go it alone. If you've been trying to make a shift, to be serious about for a minute about this past year we've all been through, I just hear time and time again how poorly people are feeling right now. Just not feeling great in their bodies, not feeling energized. Of course, there's, palpable stress in the world. And I think, this is a time when being surrounded by a community of people doing the same thing is really, really helpful. There's lots of studies that show if you want to make a change and have a new goal, accountability to a group is really one of the key differentiators. So I say, if you're not feeling great, if you've been trying to make changes on your own and you make it a few days and then you go off, and then you make it a few days and you go off, then it's probably time to look for a structured program. I love the 30 Day to Healthy Living program. And don't worry if 30 days just freaked you out, because we can work with you. I always encourage people to do at least 10, because after 5, your gut is now getting reset and your addictions are starting, they're biologically done by day 7 to, whether it's sugar or gluten or dairy or coffee. We have emotional addictions that can last a little longer. But those physical addictions are gone by then. And that's really when you've started to repair a lot of the tissue and the benefits are just starting to happen. So I always say, let's do at least 10 and then evaluate and see where you are. So that's if you're feeling freaked. Some people are like, nope, I'm in. I want the full body reset. I want to feel better. I want to have better mental clarity. I want to manage my weight. I want to have better digestion. And then, yeah, let's do it. The other thing is, if that feels overwhelming and undoable, then we can talk to you about that. Like sometimes the way we think about things can get in our way. These are old habits, the way we tend to think, and fear can sometimes be a block, right? And our brain knows no different between excitement and fear. You get to choose that. So You can say, I'm just excited about this new thing. And then we can talk to you about mindset along the way, because that's a big part of this, and accountability and mindset. What you think about, you bring about. And if you think you're going to fail, you will. And if you think you're going to succeed, you will. So we really do help you on that piece of it too. The other side of this, if you don't feel ready for that, you could just swap out one meal a day for a shake. You're getting nutrient density, it's getting absorbed. You're going to get more vitamins and minerals and nutrients out of it. And you have one green gut shot a day. That could be a healthy habit that starts you something that's sustainable. Most people that make these shakes love them. And I crave them. I want them every day. I love my chocolate shake currently, and then I go back in phases where I love my vanilla, and I mix them together, and we have tons of recipes. So that's a great thing to do if you're not quite ready for a full thing, but you're like, oh, I could swap out one meal. And we can even have accountability for people doing that, because even that is fun. You get to share recipes. You feel like, I won, I did it, I got my green gut shot in, I did that. Awesome. Some people are just willing to step down on coffee, and they might add a fizzy stick for the day. We can start small if that's where you're feeling you need help. And if you feel like you're really good on your own, and you just want to learn information and learn how to shop better and learn how to source quality nutrients and go for it, then you're good. You're good to go. Listen, I do this for a living, and I know everything, but I like to have people holding me accountable and telling me a little bit of what to do. So I love my community here, who, when we do this together, it's also, selfish, because I get helped doing it. So now for the giveaway. Are you all ready? Are you all ready? Here on Facebook and there. You're going to drop a comment. I love greens. And if you put that, I love greens, and I need everybody here on Zoom, because I don't know everybody personally, to just put their phone number or an email, because if you win, I'm going to pull the winner right after this. I use Wheel of Names, and it spins this little wheel and it pulls a winner out. I'll need to know how to get in contact with you. So in the comments and the chat, if you could put how I should reach you, and you say, I love greens, and then I put you in for that. And I just want to talk a little bit about shopping with Arbonne this month. This is the month of March. Spring is coming. Very exciting, especially if you live in the Northeast here. We had a nice day today. And they've been nice to us too, as they've taken all fees away. So normally shoppers pay $29, and it gets them 20 to 40% off every time you shop. Free shipping, freebies. It's not auto ship, it's shop when you want. The most exciting thing that they've changed now, that is here to stay, is if you have 400 retail dollars in your cart, you'll automatically get 40% off. So you can customize packages and shop in bulk and save 40% with free shipping and free gifts at any time, which is really amazing. The nutritional value pack that comes already prepackaged for the 30 days is also 40% off, and it just gives you everything you need. It gives you enough for 2 shakes a day, your B vitamin fizzies drinks a day, your tea that supports your liver and kidney, your digestion help, your gut health, that's your pre-probiotics and your enzyme. It gives you fiber, it gives you the greens, it gives you herbs that help detox your GI system. So, it really is an amazing package. It's less than $9 a day for 2 meals and all those supplements. It's really, and then you get coaching, you get a private group, you get meal plans and recipes. It's a full program. And in my practice, that's something I have loved, because honestly, not everybody will spend the money on a health coach. They might want the coaching, but sometimes it's not an ability to do that. And I love that people can just go buy the food they're going to consume, and then we can give them the rest of it for free. It's a massive value. So anyway, make sure you drop the comment, I love greens, and how I get in touch with you. That's great. And then I will pull a winner right after this, and we'll get in touch with the winner. So are there any more questions? Any more questions? I think I missed a question about oils up here. Let me go there. Can I talk about oils? Safflower, sunflower oil, healthy. So oils, different oils for different things. There's smoke points. You always want to look up a smoke point for oils. Like olive oil isn't supposed to be used with high heat. It can become rancid, for example. So a more stable high heat oil is actually butter. and there's 100% grass-fed butter out there. Vital Farms is one brand. Kerrygold is another. And then they make ghee. Clarified butter is ghee. That's also good for high heat cooking. A lot of people like to use avocado oil for high heat cooking. So those are some others you can consider. And then there's people use coconut oil for other types of cooking. Safflower and sunflower are not really healthy oils. They tend to be used in processed foods that need some shelf stability. They're not horrible. They're just usually not the best thing that we could cook with or put in our bodies. So, my first one is always olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. Spend your money on your fats. Spend money on oils. They matter. The quality of them, like how olive oil gets processed and made, if it's in a light sensitive bottle, usually more green hued, right? So the sunlight can't get in it. How you store your oils is important. So you want to spend your money on your organic oils, your fats. It's very important. The quality and what it'll do in your body is very different. But the main ones I use are extra virgin olive oil, extra virgin coconut oil, organic, of course, and I do use avocado oil sometimes for some of the high heat cooking too. And then I have like sesame seed oil for certain types of cooking. And yeah, so, and anybody else have any oils that they love? But those are the main ones. And any other questions out there? Any other questions? I hope I helped you. I hope I answered something that was on your mind. Sunflower butter is a replacement. Yeah, I like sunflower butter as a replacement for peanut butter or almond butter. Yeah, so, and I also love Nutzo butter, Nuttzo. It's a nut and seed butter. It does have almonds. It's peanut free. They have a peanut one, but they have the peanut free one I use all the time. Nutzo is lovely. You can also get it cheaper, usually on thrivemarket.com. And if you don't know about Thrive Market, that is the most affordable place to get organic things. That's where I do my, monthly or every other month shipments of when Nutzo was just on sale for 2 days, and I bought like 10 or something. But that's where I get my oils. I get my nuts. I love my raw nuts, my Brazil nuts, my macadamia, my walnuts, my, all that. Cause I'm fortunate enough to be able to have nuts. I like raw nuts, and I salt them myself with pink Himalayan salt. Roasted nuts you want to stay away from, and roasted nut butters, because typically in the roasting they add oils, and nuts have their own oils and fats. So I would rather roast my own nut and know what I'm doing to it, and salt my own nut because I know the quality of the salt I'm putting on it. So that's another clean eating hack. Yeah, but I do like the sunflower butters. People really like that, and I think they do well with them. Yeah, Thrive Market's amazing. Yeah. So check them out for your pantry staples. Great for beans and all that stuff too. Okay, any other questions? Anyone gonna join us? We have a Shake It Up challenge. I'm starting one mid-March, which is soon, like the 18th. And then I have another 30-day group starting the 28th of March. Many of us have groups starting every Monday. So really, we just wanna hook you up with what works best for you. And I heard this quote today, and I was thinking about it because a lot of people I work with, they so desperately want to change something in their life about how they feel, about how they eat, their relationship with food. And yet it feels so hard. And part of that's mindset and how we think about it. And the other, I heard this quote, the things we want to do most, we are the most afraid to do. And so if you're fearful of this, just ask yourself, is it fear of the unknown? Is it fear that I'm going to fail? These are very common fears. And that's just a story you're used to telling yourself. And we can tell you, so many people tell us time and time again, the 30-day program is easy. It's not as hard as I thought, because it's not deprivation based, and you get a lot of support. And we give you meal plans, so you'll know what to make. So, like a grass-fed, if you eat animal, a grass-fed burger with a sweet potato, side of broccoli, avocado on top, on a bed of spinach, like it's not horrible. It's not hard living. So we really do try to help you. Yeah, date and coconut sugar. Yes, you can use those. Um, they go back and forth. Again, you got to look at sourcing. You got to look how is the actual ingredient manufactured, the company you're buying it from. Um, some people like coconut sugar right now. I don't know. They come in and out of vogue about what's okay. I tend to use maple syrup that comes from the tree, and that's all it is. And I'll use real cane, and sometimes I do use coconut sugar. So yeah, they're not bad. They just kind of, it's like agave had, remember everyone's like loves agave, and now they're like, oh well, actually it spikes insulin more than regular sugar, so now that's out. So, but dates have fiber, so I make a lot of snacks for my daughter, like oat balls with nut butter and dates and a food processor, and dates are great to bind things together and make a sweet treat, and it's a natural sugar. So I do love to use them that way. So yeah, good questions. Yes, avocados. Thank you, Julie, for bringing this up. Avocados are my cheese replacement too, because that texture, whether that texture in a salad or that texture even on a sandwich or something, it gives you that creamy texture. And sometimes just avocado mashed up with salt if I'm really like craving something. Oh, and a good chip replacement is siete chips, Siete. They're made out of cassava root, which is a root vegetable. They make fabulous tortillas. They're gluten-free and not crappy ingredients. They don't use bad oils in them. No canola oil. I didn't talk about oils, like what not to use. Vegetable oil and canola oil. Those are the antithesis of clean eating. They are what you want to avoid. Should not be in your pantry. Take them out. And we have all that stuff. So yeah, Thrive Market also. Yeah, monk fruit. Monk fruit's another great sweetener. Thank you, Tamika. Absolutely. Yep. There's a lot of those natural sweeteners out. And if you look up clean eating recipe, like you can look up a recipe you love and make, and you can actually Google search for the clean version of it. They're out there. There's ways to substitute everything, whether you're vegan or gluten-free or dairy-free or all of it or egg-free or whatever. So there's great ways to do that. And nutritional yeast, excuse me, I do like. For most people, it does well. It's a B vitamin. It has a cheesy taste. So sometimes I make a cashew cream. You just soak your cashews, put them in a blender. You can add some nutritional yeast in there, and it makes it like a cheesy sauce taste. You can look up vegan cheese sauces. That's what they usually are, cashew creams with nutritional yeast. So yeah, it's a great way to have dairy free. Exactly, if that's what your goal is. And if you're eating dairy, you really want to go back to the source of the animal. So is it 100% grass-fed cow that created that milk or that ice cream or that cheese or that yogurt? That is important, really important. Organic too, but organic's not like, I think we get into this, oh, it's organic, it's good, it's organic, it's safe, and we take it off the shelf. But you really have to do a little more digging than that. And as far as cheese goes, if people are going to eat cheese and it does fine for your body, goats and sheep's milk cheese are easier to digest for the human body for the most part, and raw unpasteurized cheese in general is easier on our body because the enzymes are intact. They haven't been pasteurized. So little note on cheese, if there's going to keep it in your life, a clean eating lifestyle would have a cheese that was from 100% grass-fed cow or nicely raised goat or whatever, and usually raw, in the raw form. That's cleaner, considered cleaner. Sorry, we're going really long here. Any other questions? No, are we good? With that, I think I'm going to wrap up. So again, I love greens. You love greens. You put it in the chat. I'm going to do screenshots. I'm going to enter you. We'll pick a winner. Thank you for being with me. I hope this has inspired you to swap out one habit. These tiny things you do every day, link together day after day after day, create health. So those little habits really matter. So it's also those little habits, if they're not serving you, you could swap it out with a new one, and then you could really, be creating a new healthy habit. So thank you, everybody. I hope you're inspired to join us. and do some 30 days or do a shake challenge or change one habit. We'd love to help you. So thank you all. Happy spring.